Story 1. When people show genuine kindness through small gestures, such as holding the door, helping elderly individuals with their groceries, checking in on someone, or treating servers and cashiers with respect, it is admirable. When they speak passionately about a hobby or a subject that resonates with them or something they love, it is truly magnetic, regardless of whether it is considered nerdy or normal. Story 2. I had an ex who was an arborist. When he came home from working and sweating all day, I couldn't get enough of the smell of his skin. Story 3. Speaking on behalf of my older daughter, she recently confessed that she has had a new boyfriend for the last 4 or 5 months after being in relationships with women for the past 10 years. She was talking about him and gushed, "He hasn't been late even once," proving once again that the definition of romance is different for everyone. Story 4. During a discussion, when he focuses on you and you see in his eyes that he has just realized something about you, and when you ask him what is going on, he tells you a quality or character trait about you that pleasantly surprises him. Story 5. Whisper inappropriate things in my ear at inappropriate times. Maybe not at a funeral. Story 6. Being confident in themselves regardless of who is watching. For example, not agreeing with a group of men because they are wrong and pointing it out. When the group tries to bully him in any way, he remains unbothered and disgusted by the other men. That amount of confidence is very attractive. Story 7. When they run their hand across the waistband of their pants as they stretch, it gets me every time. Story 8. When I was heavily pregnant and could not bend down to shave my legs properly, my husband would get into the shower with me and shave my legs for me. He did not think anything of it, but I thought it was one of the sweetest things he could do for me. That little act of kindness completely increased his attraction level for me. Story 9. In my experience, Step 1. Be physically attractive. Step 2. Do literally anything. Story 10. I was hoping it was doing the helicopter, but apparently this is not an important factor. Story 11. Doing things that are considered feminine that they actually enjoy. Things like pedicures, buying scented candles, watching romantic comedies, and so on. I don't mean people who pretend to like these things, but every man genuinely likes at least a few things that are considered feminine in his culture. Those men who simply enjoy them without worrying about being emasculated are attractive. Not only does it show confidence and security in your sexuality, but it also shows women that things are not less cool just because women like them. We receive a lot of hate for things we enjoy that do not hurt anyone, so it is reassuring when a man can appreciate them too and is not driven by the goal of distinguishing himself from women. On the other hand, men who are extremely concerned with rejecting all things feminine may think they are being attractive, but the message many women receive is that their interests and preferences are less than. It hurts to know that the worst insult a man can receive is to be compared to a woman. Story 12. When they are vulnerable and open, I think a man who is not afraid to talk about his emotions and cry is a significant positive sign. Story 13. My husband and I watch television in different rooms. He constantly comes into my room to check on me. He watches over me when I sleep as well. It makes me feel safe and loved. Story 14. Taking care of things so you do not have to worry about them, like the dishes, making reservations, phone calls I would rather avoid, trash, cleaning the bathroom, and cooking. It does not have to be just him doing it. I am totally willing to do all these things, but if it feels like a partnership and a team effort, it is very attractive. Story 15. Coming home exhausted and dirty from a long day. On a less physical level, take a moment to process what you want to say before speaking during a heart-to-heart conversation. This helps ensure that nobody's feelings get hurt by saying the wrong thing or that it does not sound like you are placing blame. Basically, think about what you are going to say so it does not come out wrong or get taken the wrong way. Story 16. Show kindness and respect, especially towards family members. Develop handy skills by being able to do basic repairs and maintenance around the house. Story 17. I have heard women say the most attractive thing about a man is his self-control as a lifestyle. Not being a woman, I can only imagine she is right. Story 18. Taking care of me when I am sick, genuinely being concerned, taking my temperature, giving me my medication, and staying by my side. I do not know. Seeing a man be nurturing and caring is very attractive to me. Story 19. When people get excited about a subject, I am into gaming and Dungeons and Dragons. The number of times a person will apologize for being excited while talking about their passion is surprising. I am a nerd too, so do not apologize. Tell me more. Story 20. Give me his time when I know he has a busy schedule and make me feel like a priority. Story 21. This is a real question. I'm a man, and I've observed that what women say they want and what they are actually attracted to usually aren't very consistent. Is that just an exaggeration from my perspective? Or if you are honest, do you think there is truth in that? If yes, why? For instance, in the comments I've seen a lot of being vulnerable, staying quiet, and being kind, which are all very important traits. But in real life, if a man is emotionally vulnerable with his partner, it often gets used against him, or they start to subconsciously disrespect him for being soft. Quiet men aren't usually the ones who attract attention in a bar. It is usually the one who is the center of attention, extroverted and boisterous. I guess I haven't seen kindness go wrong, but many women seem to prefer the bad boy over the responsible, kind type. Story 22. I am not a woman, but I am gay and some women agree with me. Men doing things that toxic masculine individuals would say are feminine without worrying about their masculinity, such as wearing women's perfume because they like it or taking care of their skin. Story 23. Kindness to me, to those around him, and even when he talks about other people when they are not around to hear. Emotional vulnerability and gentleness are also important. All of these traits combined automatically make me feel safe around him. Story 24. This has to come with a caveat that you are somewhat attractive. A lot of the things mentioned I do casually without thought. I have mostly received negative reception. Held the door open for a woman, got a stink eye, talking passionately about my hobbies of trains, planes, computers, and music gets me hit with, Jesus, stop, it's boring. Casual kindness was met with, stop showing off, you aren't getting in my pants. It was never the intention, but it was automatically assumed. Gardening and crocheting? Haha, stupid girly hobbies. The difference. I am a fat, not so kind on the eyes man. Those will continue because they are natural behaviors to me, but the jabs and stares hurt. Story 25. When my boyfriend shared something he is passionate about with me, especially when he is embarrassed because he thinks it is childish, it makes me feel so special that he trusts me to be a safe space. He also pays attention to all the little details of the people he loves. Not just me, but his mother and his family too. It is so sweet when he talks about the people he loves, and I can tell he is genuinely happy for them and proud of them. Story 26. Honestly, be a gentleman. Genuinely get to know me for who I am as a person. My heart, my soul. I want to be treated with genuine curiosity, kindness, and care. Like a princess whom you adore and love. I have yet to experience this, so that would be nice. Story 27. When they are on alert in public, I can just be myself without constantly assessing my surroundings. It's a natural thing that I usually don't realize until they say, did you notice a person/object/event? And I respond with a solid, no. Bonus if they point out the cool or weird stuff. If I notice I'm constantly on alert in the presence of a guy, I know it's not going to work. Also, if he asks for solutions and takes suggestions instead of waiting several months until his coworker or another person says the same thing. Bonus if he realizes you mentioned it before instead of coming in like a jerk and announcing your suggestion as someone else's idea. If 3 months later someone else is more trustworthy, my knees fuse together. So, if we can't work well together, it's not going to work. Story 28. When they match my philosophical drive. Quote Chesterton to me and I am excited. Story 29. When they show respectful care and interest, I am introverted and quiet, so I do not expect everyone to be very talkative. However, a little kind interest is appreciated instead of trying to appear cool and aloof all the time. Story 30. My husband carries my purse, which he considers too heavy for my neck and shoulder troubles. It doesn't matter where. Without a word, he gently lifts my purse off my shoulder and carries it on his shoulder. So endearing and kind. Story 31. 1. When someone shares something about themselves without trying to impress, it feels genuine. A man told me his usual work hours and mentioned that he sometimes stays past those hours in the evenings, but he didn't mind and did not complain. He simply said it was not that bad. For some reason, that made me feel affectionate. 2. Being persistent is attractive. I felt shy around a man I thought was somewhat cute. When I passed him, I avoided eye contact and did not acknowledge him. However, I said goodnight to the other two men as I walked by. The man I ignored still called out goodnight to me in front of them just as I was about to leave. That made him much more attractive because it took courage to speak to me after I had brushed past him, especially in front of the others. Persistence is truly appealing. Story 32. Treating women with respect, without bragging about how much money they make or being flashy. Story 33. When I wear my hat backwards while holding our baby, clean the floors, fold laundry, or do chores in general, my wife is very attracted to me. Story 34. Don't forget, these are all things they like. If they already find you very attractive, it won't make you cross the threshold from boring to attractive. In short, if they already like you, there isn't anything you have to do. You already passed. Story 35. Being open with feelings towards you. Being observant of surroundings and people's feelings. Story 36. Vulnerability and emotional intelligence. Equally, accountability is important. Everyone makes mistakes, but not everyone apologizes for them. Story 37. I love when my husband does something he normally would not want to do, but he does it just because he knows it makes me happy. Being selfless and putting me first is very attractive. Story 38. Put thought into their appearance when we go out, especially if it includes wanting to know details about my outfit to coordinate or contrast. Story 39. Backing me up in public and addressing if I am wrong in private. Do not make me look like a fool in public. Story 40. The way he treats people is respectful, thoughtful, and without male ego. That really stands out. Story 41. Smiling and hugging or kissing when you see each other after being apart, even if it was only for 30 minutes. Story 42. Taking charge is attractive, but surrendering humanizes you in my eyes. It's like you're someone I get to be human with, not be human for. There's no need to be strong all the time. Being a gentleman without being imposing is what makes me swoon. I recently traveled to a city where every single man I met was well-mannered. I was constantly amazed and flattered by how generous they were with their gestures. I'm not talking about buying anything. I'm talking about simply being nice, treating me like a charming young lady, and allowing me my own free will. I honestly didn't know how to process it. It was amazing. Story 43. Go ahead and tear up a little at the end of Gladiator or the beginning of Up. Ilikas Up. It shows empathy that you will carry into relationships. Story 44. Listening, like actually listening without waiting to talk. Story 45. Being knowledgeable about things without showing off his knowledge. Story 46. Being open about themselves and allowing themselves to feel weak around me. Vulnerability makes me melt, especially if they did not tell anyone about it. Part of the reason why I stayed with my ex for 5 years. I truly loved him and cherished that part of him. Story 47. Stopping by Starbucks before they come home to get me a peppermint hot chocolate for my sore throat, because it was the only thing that helped. Story 48. When they feel they can rely on me and open up about their struggles and feelings. Story 49. A man who is confident in his masculinity and able to wear pink shirts or nail polish if he chooses. Story 50. Helping with the housework or grocery shopping without needing to be asked or reminded. Story 51. When he apologizes while blushing after saying something unintelligent with confidence. Story 52. Genuinely show interest in me and try to get to know who I am beyond a surface level. Sweet little things like speaking softly, not just with gifts, but sharing small details about himself to build closeness. Remember small details like how I take my coffee or things he knows will bother me so he avoids those actions. Intimacy is about the small things that bring us closer, not just physical touch. Story 53. Express and manage emotions beyond irrational childish anger and hostility. Story 54. When they respect all people, especially women, they talk quietly, referring to their intelligence and sense. They do not talk as if they are in a fight or argument and definitely share their emotions and ambitious goals with others. Story 55. When they remain calm during another person's road rage episodes. Story 56. When a blue-collar man walks in all sweaty and dirty from work, you are not getting a shower. Come here. Story 57. Dominant in a gentle way, like holding my hand when crossing the road or guiding me through a crowd. Story 58. I woke up feeling not great this morning. My hair was looking wild, and I was wearing my cheap plastic reading glasses because I am in my mid-40s. I was talking to him about something ridiculous I read on this app. Midway through my rant about some poor woman's terrible husband, he smiled and said, "You're so cute." He is not good at writing in birthday cards and does not make big declarations of love on Facebook, but he will come up behind me to squeeze me and say, "I just love you so much. You are the best." It was like he was going to burst if he couldn't say it. Story 59. Nail polish and generally putting effort into appearance. There is something about a man who is not overly feminine in appearance but wears nail art. Story 60. When my husband, who is a truck driver, backs up a trailer perfectly and does it very quickly. Story 61. Loading the dishwasher without turning it into a geometric puzzle competition. Story 62. Emotional maturity also means not having the mentality that men are beasts that need to be tamed. Story 63. All these women are describing me, yet I have not had a date in 20 years. Story 64. My husband was a nerd in high school. He competed in national robotics competitions. He has been a volunteer firefighter since his teens. He is 33 now. He was a general contractor and is a mechanic, the handiest handyman I have ever met. Now he is a paramedic. So, literally when I or coworkers or friends have an issue, I call my husband to help. He never says no and always knows how to fix it or what to do. The fact that there is nothing he cannot do or figure out is very attractive. We bought a house last year, and he has transformed it into the house of my dreams. He has remembered every little detail I have ever mentioned over the last 5 years that I wanted in my own house and brought it to life. He is certified to instruct cardiopulmonary resuscitation and first aid. I am the lead dental assistant at the office where I work, so he came and did our certification. I am glad it was not my first class or I would not be certified. Story 65. When they get excited and talk about their hobbies or interests they are passionate about. Story 66. The big one for me was having no preconceived notions. Other men tended to dream up their own idea of who I was and never listened to me or paid attention. I married the one who didn't assume I was lying about liking camping. Wearing heels and mascara for work doesn't mean I don't like. Getting grubby and not liking cut flowers is because they wilt and make me sad. I told one man I liked Voltaire, and he acted astounded, even though we'd been dating 2 years. How can you date someone for 2 years without noticing that they are into classic literature, not paperback romances? I don't think this is a male or female thing. Everyone wants to be heard. Too often we fall in love with who we think someone is without paying attention to who they really are. Then we get frustrated when they don't live up to our fantasy. It saves a lot of time to listen from the beginning. I'll add that my husband clinched the deal the morning I woke up to find him doing something at the window. Then he went to the door, opened it, closed it, and returned to bed. I asked what he had been doing and he said a bee had gotten in, and he caught it and put it outside. That told me he wasn't just brave, but he cared about both me and a random bee. Definitely a keeper. Story 67. Laugh at my joke. Find me funny. Yes, it's great if you're funny, but women tend to laugh at men's jokes much more than the other way around. You are in the top 1% if you are reciprocating. Story 68. My husband makes a delicious peach cobbler. I turn into someone who eagerly devours it. Story 69. The person I have a crush on right now has an amazing radio voice, so it is just fun to listen to him talk. He is also quite knowledgeable, which is an attractive quality. Story 70. Honestly, when a man talks openly about his passions and shares everything he knows, it is very attractive. It may sound a little nerdy, but there is something about that enthusiasm that feels unique. Story 71. Something that guys rarely do but girls love is kiss her hand. It does not have to be a grand gesture, just quickly picking up her hand and giving a light kiss. There is something so seductive and reverent about it. It crushes me every time with heart-racing moments. Story 72. Let it be one of their first official girlfriends. To some, it may seem silly since it would be an unexpected boy. However, they are the ones with the most sincere heart and true love. They take care of you and treat you as the most precious thing in their life. I think the only bad thing is that after the first mistake you make, nothing will be the same again. Sadly, I lost the boy I love the most in my life. Story 73. Definitely having situational awareness and knowing when not to speak or when to give some nonverbal space. Story 74. When their shirt lifts up a little too high and you see their abdominal muscles. It happened to my ex, and he pulled his shirt back down. I couldn't function for a little bit. Story 75. 1. Share small details and be vulnerable. Do not be self-praising but be genuine. 2. Do not be nonchalant. Actually express happiness and excitement. 3. Share about people in his life and how much they mean to him. 4. Use a clear and authentic voice. 5. Be truly real, not trapped in social media propaganda and patriarchal ideas. An intellectual person who sees through falsehoods. Story 76. Be kind, especially when no one is watching and there is nothing to be gained from doing so. Wear glasses. Most men underestimate how attractive they look with them. Story 77. Playing an instrument or drawing. It is almost too hot. Story 78. The physical grace a person can have when they are so competent at something that it has become second nature to them. Story 79. I am going to be honest. I find it very cute when a man happily shows and talks to me about his hobbies or collections. The pure childlike joy he expresses when speaking about them is very attractive. Story 80. I do not know if they would think it is not attractive, but it is kind to animals. Story 81. This one is a little hard even for me to understand, but when my ex told me once that he was at the mall on his own and stopped for a little cinnamon roll for a snack. He did not normally have a sweet tooth, and to this day I find it so cute and it makes me so happy that when he was enjoying his time, he bought himself a cinnamon roll. Whenever I see men walking around with a little sweet treat, or if a big manly man comes in and buys a baked good from the cafe I work at, I find it so sweet and I think about it all day. I do not know why it gets me, but it does. Story 82. Being kind, sweet, and excited for you shows protection. Simply being a man because men are already strong, that mix of dangerousness and sweetness is not something direct, but it is something powerful. Furthermore, being open emotionally, intellectually, and physically shows strength and confidence, not weakness. Story 83. Helping someone without making a big deal out of it, such as carrying groceries or fixing something small. Story 84. When he is doing manual work or jobs around the house. Story 85. Chopping wood. Also, seeing something that needs to be done and handling it without waiting to be asked or waiting for someone else to do it. Story 86. There is a boy who apparently likes him. He already proposed to me, but I rejected him. I am friends with his friends, so they always talk to me about him and try to get me to give him a chance. The problem is that when he is with me, he acts serious and tries to be mature, which I find boring since I don't know what to talk about. Story 87. When you are a gentleman and treat women with respect, it is not necessary to give them special treatment just for being women. Story 88. If you have a mustache, trim the hair so it does not fall over your top lip. You will probably need to check the length every day. Take care of it. Wash it, comb it, oil it, condition it, whatever you are supposed to do for your particular mustache hair type. Many people think that having a mustache means you do not need to care for the skin underneath, or they think the mustache or beard hair is the end goal. It is not. Some may look like they have a skin condition on their face or like they glued stray hairs there. Take a shower, care for your skin, trim your mustache, eyebrow, and nose hair. Strongly consider removing the unibrow and cleaning up the outside edges that grow around the eyes or up into the hairline. Give your facial hair some actual form. Wear clean clothes and use deodorant. Looking and smelling put together is attractive. Paying attention to the little details is appealing. Many people cannot even notice when a dirty glass should go in the dishwasher or a dirty sock in the hamper. Not taking care of yourself visually sends a message. This is how I take care of my home. This is how much attention I will pay to you and any children we may have. It signals that you cannot even bother to look nice when you step outside. You are ruining your chances right from the first impression. Story 89. Based on the replies, many women like men who do not talk much. Interesting. Story 90. When people talk too much about themselves, their feelings and experiences, they show vulnerability, empathy, and kindness. It is a personal preference whether someone is a cat person. Story 91. An accent. I am talking to this Brazilian man, and I have to control myself whenever I hear him speak. That accent is just amazing, and he thinks nothing of it. Haha. Story 92. Supporting women's rights and demonstrating this through their votes. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.